Hey guys, hey, I got a couple new things from the conference this last week, Thursday and Friday when I was gone, and I really want to try one. So I know it's really late, but I'm going to post this on Classroom, obviously, and I'm going to kind of use this as a tester to kind of see what this looks like in regards to using this type of technology. So right now, guys, I'm using what's called Screencastify, and I'm going to look into whether or not you guys can get that on your computers. I think it might be an add-on to your Chrome that you can. I think this could be really neat in regards to sharing some resources and collaborating outside of class. So regardless, you guys, I thought this would be a cool opportunity to talk about your reading on Monday. I know Miss Kostanek said that a lot of her students were kind of panicked about the number of pages in the reading for Monday, and I don't want you guys to panic. So I want to preview what we're going to do Monday. Maybe that'll help just a little bit. You guys can see here's going to be our agenda for Monday, really the consequences of becoming more developed, and then the consequence of using more industry. So on Friday with Mrs. Kelderman, you guys really looked at the Millennium Goals and what the goals are in regards to development. Well, we have to understand that there are consequences of that. One of those Millennium Goals looked at energy, and that's where we're really going to focus a lot of our energy in class on Monday. And so essentially what you guys can see is this really big push towards the environment and how are we using the environment to, in this case, fuel economics and fuel development. So you can see on Monday, we're going to spend about 30 minutes is all kind of going over this lesson. And then we're going to use China as our case study. So as we're reading, these are some of the things I want you guys to focus on. Renewable and non-renewable energy resources. That's going to be kind of the game changer of these units. Renewable being things that we can use again. So wind power energy, trees in regards to biomass and what we can use from agriculture to go into energy, water, hydroelectric energy, etc. Versus non-renewable, you guys, these are the fossil fuels that can take tens of thousands of years to reproduce. And these are the things that we've been using for so long in regards to becoming industrialized and becoming more developed. That's the theme that I want you guys to use as you're reading these key issue threes. Maybe tonight, probably tomorrow. Production, you guys, and removal of these resources, and then reserves. And that's really what geographers are curious about right now, is what is happening to the reserves in regards to fossil fuels, and then how can we use non-renewable energy to help that? So as you guys are looking at key issue 3, you guys are going to look a lot at supply and demand. Obviously, the demand for the fossil fuels in the world. We know that 5/6 of the world's energy comes from these 3 fossil fuels, from coal, petroleum, and natural gas. What are the biggest producers or the biggest demanders, I guess, of those businesses? You guys, we know, and again, China is going to be a great example of this. In terms of coal, we know that businesses burning coal in regards to the energy to run that business. Transportation, you guys know this in terms of petroleum going into our cars, and then homes. If you ask your parents and guardians in regards to your house, and where you get a lot of your energy, I guarantee a lot of you, it comes from MUD. I know that's where we get ours. And that looks at the natural gas side of things. And so essentially what we're going to look at on Monday is the major suppliers of coal. And you guys are going to read a little bit about that. Don't spend a ton of time on it, but really on a big scale, who's providing the coal for the world. You guys can look at this map right here. This is looking at the United States in regards to coal production. And again, we're going to look at some of these in regards to where coal is really being used on the supply side. You guys can see this in terms of the countries exporting and importing coal. These are some of the things that when you're reading, I want you to focus on. Petroleum, then you're going to look at the supply of petroleum around the world. This kind of focuses a little bit on OPEC as well, which we've already talked about in class. And you guys can pause this at any time. We will go over this on Monday. And then we'll look at natural gas as well. You guys are going to notice, United States, Russia, Saudi Arabia, not only on this chart for natural gas here, but in a lot of cases in regards to, well, you can see petroleum on this one as well. And then scale. Talked a lot about scale, you guys, but as you're reading, I want you to really focus on that component in key issue 3. In terms of the global scale, in regards to some of these fossil fuels, global warming, greenhouse, the ozone damage. Those are some things we're going to talk about on Monday. The regional scale, that's again where China is going to come in as our case study. And then the local scale, looking at urban areas. And again, this should be recap for a lot of us, the urban areas in regards to what we're using in terms of industrialization. We're going to focus on that a little bit on Monday, and that's where the movie that we're going to watch will really come into play. Alternative energy resources. This is what I really want you to focus on in your reading. Not necessarily because it'll be on the test, but more so because I can see this being an FRQ in May. And so you want to focus on all of these different opportunities for alternative energy. On Monday, we're going to look a lot at the benefits and the disadvantages of alternative energy. Hydroelectric, water, solar energy, using the sun as an alternative resource, wind energy, nuclear power. Again, this one comes with plenty of disadvantages. We saw this in Chernobyl, which we'll talk about on Monday. Biomass, which is going to be kind of that ethanol we talked about in regards to agriculture and using that to, say, put into our cars. And then geothermal, which is going to require a lot of heat from the ground, which we'll talk about again as well. So you guys can kind of see, we'll go through these slides on Monday, looking at hydroelectric power. Here's the major dam projects around the world. You can look at solar energy. We can look at wind power. Obviously, nuclear power, energy, agriculture in terms of biomass. And we've talked about this a little bit in agriculture, but we'll do a little bit more on Monday. And then geothermal power. And then again, we're going to use China as our example, and we'll watch that movie on Monday. So you guys, as you're reading, do not panic. Those are the things that you're focusing on in your reading. And then obviously we'll spend a little bit more time on this on Monday. So hope you guys are having a fantastic weekend. And we'll see you on Monday.